Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel once again, and this tutorial is brought to you by Sony Virtual Studios. And on today's tutorial I'll be walking you down on the journey on how to model a simple restaurant. So in this tutorial I'll be modeling a restaurant, and we'll be adding cameras to our scene as well too. So we'll be creating a short reel at the end of this tutorial. So let's kickstart. First thing we do, we select this box and delete this cube on our keyboard. Click on delete and it's out. And let's go Shift A. Okay, as for those that are beginners, I'll just show us how to navigate around our 3D scene. First of all, how to orbit our 3D windows. So you hold the middle button, the middle scroll button, and you move sideways. So you can rotate by holding the middle scroll button. To pan your screen, you hold Shift and middle button to pan your screen. To zoom in and out, you hold Control and middle button to zoom in and out. So these tools here are called the manipulator tools. These are our move, these are our rotate, and these are our scale. These are our select tool, these are our cursor. So um, these are our time slider for animations. These are our scene explorer. Any object we bring into our scene, it actually highlights here also, so we can either check it out and in. So to add an object into our Blender scene, still the same rules, Shift A, or you come to this place that we have add and say add, and let's say mesh, and let's bring in a cube. So let's make, press N on your keyboard. Okay, so we want to make this the height of our building. Um, let's say 2. Okay, let's say 3.2. Since it's a two-story building, 3.2. That should be the height, 3.2. And now let's lock the z-axis so we can scale. So anytime we scale, um, we still have our 3.2 set, so we can scale like this. Can scale like this. Yeah, can scale to this point. And what we want to do next, let's unlock this back and click N. So now let's start creating parts of our restaurant. We'll keep it simple. This will be a low poly model, not too many details. Okay, to go to edit mode, um, okay, let's scale first on our y-axis a little bit. Yeah, and let's come to our overlays and highlight our wireframe so we can see our edges. And now let's go to edit mode. So on your keyboard, you press tab, and another way to go to edit mode again is to come to this place that you have object mode. Select this arrow facing downwards and come to edit mode. So you can either use tab or you come to this point. And now let's do some extrusion. 3 on your keyboard for face selection. But before we do that, let's add some few loops. Okay, what we'll do now, let's add a loop cut here, bring it to this extent, add another loop cut, bring it to this extent, add another loop cut down here and bring to this extent, and add another loop cut down here and bring to this extent. So what we'll be doing so much of interior and exterior. So I want us to duplicate this. I want us to duplicate. Let's add another loop cut here first. Let's add one here. I think we can add another one here again. For okay, let's add one here. So we have something looking like this. Now we are good to go. I think this is nice. So first of all, go back to our object mode and duplicate this. First, let's name this. To rename this from cube, we say F, and we say this is our exterior. Exterior, and we'll duplicate it. Shift D, right click the release. Let's select it and F2 and say interior. Okay, and now we are going to hide this interior. We are working on the exterior first, so we'll hide our interior. Now go back to our edit mode, and so now we come here, come to our face selection. First of all, we want to create our door. So I can still add one more edge loop here. Just add one more edge loop here. Yeah. And add another one down here. I think I'm good now. Let me delete this interior, then duplicate it back again. Then so we can have the same details. Shift D, and let me rename it again. F2 interior. Said okay, and let me hide it now so I can proceed now. So back to edit mode, face mode, and E for extrusion, or Z for wireframe. So select this face and let's extrude inwards. E, extrude it inwards to this point, and let's go back and select this face, and what we want to do now, we can decide to insert this also. I for insert, and S to scale on the, and S and Z to scale on the Z axis. So it's looking like this. We release, come to our manipulator, move to, then we move this upwards a little bit upwards. I think we are okay with that. I think before I do that, I would love to extrude this region first. E to extrude this region first. Move this way a little bit. Then can now insert this I to insert this for the flower pots. Then E to extrude inwards. Yes, to extrude inwards. Okay, and what I want to do next again, I will have to select this face, and I will say I, and I will say S to scale, and Z on the Z axis, and I will move this upwards and select this, and I will say E for extrusion a little bit. Okay, let me move it inwards fully. Okay, let me leave it that way. I can bring it outward and say I, and extrude again. Yeah, looking pretty cool like this. Okay. So what I want to do now again is I'll have to come to this point for the doors. There's going to be a double door, so I'm going to delete. I can also extrude this face also. Self deleting it, I can say E to extrude. Oh, let me go back. Okay, I can delete this and say delete this face for me. It has deleted. I go to my edge mode and select these edges. Then I'll deselect this one and I'll say E. I'll release and I'll push inwards. Say E. I can say F to bridge the face. So I can, okay, now, so what I want to do now, okay, I have to add one more edge loop here. Edge loop here, so I can be able to delete this. I can say delete, select this face and delete. So this is what I'm having now. So I have this loop here together with this. Oops. Okay, let me push it inside a little bit. Should be inside. Okay, that's that. So I can now create my doors and my windows. So now this for the exterior, and okay, let me create the top. Shift A again, bring in a cube again and scale that cube. Now let's press N and go back to our initial scale. I think this one was 3.2. Now we have to come back and say 3.2. Then lock and scale on the Y axis. I think it's this point, Y axis. Yeah, so we have something like this. And let's move it upwards. Let's move it upwards. So now it's upwards. So I want to do like a kind of a double decking. So then go to our front view. Let me scale on the x-axis. So it look the same. Come to our right view and ensure they are the same. Scale on the y-axis until they are the same. Okay. Now unlock this back and say N. Goes off. Okay. You're on the right track now. So I'll also make some extrusion on this top building here. So what I want to do now, I will select this and I'll go to my edit mode and now duplicate. I won't duplicate. I'll just go to my edge selection and add some edge loops. Add one here first. Add one here first and release. Okay, I'll add another one here at the center at this point, and I'll say Control B. So it just helps me. So I'll do another one here. Now say Ctrl B, Ctrl B, and another one here. Say Ctrl B to add another edge. Ctrl B in this. If I tap G double times, I can move this to this point. I think G double times G on the keyboard. Same thing with this. Okay, hold Alt and select. So I'm having something like this. Hold Alt, double tap G, and try to move this to this point. And we can also use our bevel tool to our boolean to actually carry out this operation. We can also use boolean to carry out this operation. So there are different ways of carrying out operations on 3D softwares. So depends on the one that you choose, that you love, that will work best for you. That's what you do. Okay, now let's proceed. So I can add one edge loop here, and I can say bevel, Ctrl B, I'll bevel it this way, bevel it this way. Okay, I can add another one again here, and I'll bevel it. So I don't think I will do that. I just have to just work on this first. Let me just work on this first. I think this counts. So I can now go to my face mode and select. But as you can see, this window is bigger than this. So let me make some adjustments here. Tap G 2 times to move this. You can go to our right view, so we can really see the size. This is window 1 and window 2. Okay, just want this stuff to be very equal. Hold Alt and select to move an edge loop. So now back to our face mode. So we can select these faces and extrude inwards like this. Extrude inwards like this. Extrude inwards like this. Okay, so what we want to do now is that we'll select this top here. This top here, hold Alt to select these whole faces, and we can decide to extrude, E for extrusion and S to scale. So we can push it up a little bit. We can push that up a little bit. We can add loop cuts there, or we can select these and push this upwards. Also make it look nice. What we want to do next, we can add one more loop cut down here and go to our face mode and hold Alt and select this entire faces round and say E for extrusion and S to scale. So we've scaled. Oh, but one thing I forgot, I didn't duplicate this one for the interior. So let me do that now. Let me bring a new box. Shift A to add a cube. Go to mesh and add a cube. And let's scale. Let's go to N. Let's scale the cube first. And let's go to our scale and say 3.2. And say OK. Lock on the Z axis and scale uniformly. Now let's move upwards. Let's come to our front view, wireframe, port Z, S and X on the X axis. Let's scale it to this point, and now we can now move downwards. Here we go. Now go to our right view. Let's scale on the Y axis. Okay, we are good to go now. So we are good to go now. So now what? Now we can now create those markings. Go to Ctrl R. You can put one up here and Ctrl R again. Put one at the middle here and do Ctrl B for the glasses and push this upwards. Now we can add some loop cuts here. Push this and have some loop cuts here. Ctrl arrow to add the loop cuts. Ctrl arrow and Ctrl arrow. That for the second one. Ctrl arrow. Add Ctrl arrow again and another Ctrl arrow. So now we are good to go. So now we can bring this back here and then let's see. Okay, we say interior. Okay, F2 and we say interior top underscore. You see top. Now let's hide it. And this F2, let's say exterior top, exterior underscore, let's say top, enter. Let's say N. Let's go back. So now we have our model almost set. Sorry for that. Now we want to model tables. But before we do that, we want to do kind of a big signboard here, like an artifact here. So we can bring our cursor by holding shift and right click. So you can move your cursor anywhere. You can come to our right view. So let's make it well. And let's say shift A, mesh and cube. Now we scale the cube on the Y axis to this point and let's bring it forward and let's scale on the X axis. Let's bring it this way. Let's go to our front view and let's push. Let's scale on the Z axis also to be like this. Come to this point. Let's stay again on the Z axis. Stay on the X axis. And let's move backwards a little bit. And like a signboard. I think is perfect like this. So we can add some texts to this place. So how to add text? Um, First of all, let's bring our text here, or we can still bring our text here. We can still write our text here and say Shift A. Where we have text, click on text, but I don't want it to be there. Control Z. Let's put it down here so we can see it properly. Shift A. See text. So our text is there. We can come to add and say increase radius. We can rotate our text. We can say arrow y 90, no, arrow x 90, and standing, and then arrow x 9, no, then arrow y, arrow z 19, sorry, arrow z 19. Yes, so now our text is facing us. So if we say front view, right view, you can move it up to this point. Now let's do Shift H to hide every other thing except our text. I want to work on our text. So to edit our text, still the same thing. Click on Tab, Backspace. Now type what you want. I can say cap locks, and let me see. Um, okay, what should we name our restaurant now? As in, okay, can I say? I need a name to name our restaurant now. I need a name. Let me say, tasty. Okay, tasty foods, or tasty burger. Okay, let me use tasty burger. T tasty burger. T A. Let me say S T Y tasty space, and let me say B U R G R tasty burger. And I can decide to make this B. Okay, let me just say tasty burger, and now let's go to our text options here. So now we can see our text well. So we can do some tweaking in here. You can go to geometry and say extrude, and you can come to where we have bevel and bevel it a little bit so it's not looking too sharpy. Add some depth to that bevel, add some depth, and leave it at 1.4. It's pretty cool. Let's reduce the extrusion. Reduce the extrusion. Let's leave the depth. Reduce the extrusion. We can do some workings on our font style. You can say font size. You can reduce. You can say share, but not that. We don't want that. Okay, what we want to do now? You can say underline. You can say caps. So we can come to where we have paragraph, and paragraphs. You have other things like character spacing. We have word spacing as well too. So I think I will bring this, reduce the word spacing. We have line spacing also, but I think we'll leave that one as normal. And we have text box. I think we will not work with that for now. So now we can either change our text here. We can come to our text. We can either select any text that we love. Um, I didn't have any text in mind actually, but I think let me select this and see. We can say open. I don't want this kind of text, so or Z to go back. So let's use the default text for now, for the sake of this tutorial. Now we can say edit. Also, we can okay, we are done with this. So we can add smooth subdivision modifier. Let's see how it looks like. If it's going to look good. Yeah, but it's not looking good. Not looking good. Not looking good, but it's already looking good from this extent. So it's already smooth like this. Okay, let me reduce the spacing to come back to character spacing and okay, like that. Okay, let me reduce. I think it's good this way. I don't want these two to join together. So I think it's perfect like this. Okay, it's perfect like this. Now let's unhide unselected Alt H on your keyboard back. Alt, Alt H. So here we have our tasty burger. Have to move it back. So what is happening here? Okay, I didn't hide this, so I can hide that now. So now I can move this back. Now let's double on our wireframe so we can see our edges properly. Now select this and move this inside. And we can really do some tweaking and come to our left view and see how this thing looks like. So we can bring this stuff here. So we can select and go to A, CT, no. So I want us to do something. I'm trying if I can work on them each one after the other. And see convert to mesh. Okay, so that's what we do. You can convert it to mesh. So you can convert your texts to mesh also. So I just did, let me undo so you can see what I did now. So what I want to do is that I want to rotate this alphabet. I want to like change their positions, so I can't do that setup in here. So the only way I can do that is to actually convert this text to a mesh. So I'll right click on it selected and I say convert to mesh. Now it becomes a mesh. So I can go to edit mode now and select. So what I will do now, I'll go to my right view. I can say A to or to select. Now I'll go to my wireframe mode. So I can go to my vectors. I can select this, so you can decide to scale this individually. I can rotate this, arrow to rotate, and this way. I can select all these two. So I'm just playing around with the texts. Just playing around. I can rotate this also and push this up here and this down, and select these ones also, and G on your keyboard to move this up. So you can just play around with creativity. I think I can just trying to select all these, but this one is kind of joined with this. Whoa. I think I will leave that away for now, and but I can still select it also to check. I don't want this to be together with this. There is a kind of joint in here, so I can select all these and select this and select this also, and I think I can move it now. Okay, Ctrl Z, back, and see what's holding that. Try to move this. Okay. Okay, let me go back. Hold C, and so I can now select this one individually now. I think I've rectified that, so I can push this upwards and select this, and push upwards also. So I'm kind of having a jumping text. Can rotate this also. So bring this down. You can select this, and take upwards, and rotate, and do the same with this E. You can either scale this, just select this again. Made a mistake, and bring this up and scale. Okay, one vector has been selected. Okay, I can rotate this. Can even scale it, so I can select this also. So just try to play around the text and see how you can do some tweaking jinglings. So we can move this also. Okay, I think it's okay. Now go back to edit mode and go to our right view and let's scale S scale. Now let's bring downwards. Let's scale a little bit again. Now let's go to our front view. But C, let's ensure we push our text inside the signboard. So this is what we have, tasty burger now. And so we can create chairs in here. So we can create chairs, we can create some few tables and some other assets. First, let's create the floor. Bring your cursor down, display, and say mesh, shift A. Now let's select the plane and let's scale this plane wide. Let's go to our right view by pressing click on your keyboard. Now we can now move this here and say S. So this is just like our floor for now. We'll still work on it. And what we want to do next, let's create some few chairs. But before we create some few chairs, let's model something. I want to do something like a shade that is pouring down here. So by doing that, creating a shade like form of an umbrella shade that's coming down here. Okay, now let's create some few shades and some chairs and round tables and bench by the corner of our restaurant model. So by doing that, we can say Shift A. Let's bring in a cone. Cone. Okay, let's delete it back. Okay, Shift A. Let's bring in a cone and let's come to where we have add cone. Let's make our cone 10 segments, 10 vertices. Let's increase the size of this cone to radius 1 and let's bring it back again. Shift A, bring the cone and let's leave this as 0 and let's say OK. And okay, now select it. You can raise it upwards. Now let's hide it by Shift H to hide, so we can work on it properly. And go to edit mode, tap for edit mode, and 3 for face mode. And let's delete this face here. Press delete on your keyboard, delete that face, and go to vectors mode 1 on your keyboard for vectors. So select this top vectors here and delete it and say delete vectors. So this is what we have here now. So we select all these vectors by holding Alt and select and extrude them. E for extrusion, you release by right clicking and you scale S uniformly, S and scale S to this point, and you raise this up, not too much. The shade is not too that big, so just a nice small fine shade. Okay, now this helps us now to add edge loop in here. So you can do this, add edge loops here. Okay, I don't want us to have a very, so can add just 3 here. So what we'll do next is that we want to add one more edge loop in between these ones, in between these ones, in between these ones, at the middle of these ones. Control arrow to add edge loops. Control arrow. So let's go to our top view. So we can use this checkbox things here to go to various views. Z for the top view, this one for the back, this for front. So you can, the more you click on any of them, you just actually change to different views. So now by selecting these ones, let's go to local, and so we can move this, can move this, can, no, let's go back first. Let's move this axis, let's move this, and then let's go to normals. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So we can move this, we can move this like this, we can move this, we can move this, we can move this, we can move this, and select the middles. And so this is what we have now. I think this is pretty cool. Okay, try to move this also very well. Okay, and what we want to do now is that we select hold alt, so we can select all these and push downwards a little bit to give us that kind of shade, kind of look. And we can add one more edge loop here. And let's select this again and bring downwards, put alt to select, and bring downwards. Now we say A to select. Okay, first let's work on this top. Let's click 2 on our keyboard for edge selection and hold alt. So we select this this ring here. Now let's go back to our global transform orientation, and let's say E to extrude, release by right clicking, S to scale, push upwards, E, release, S to scale, then push upwards a little bit to have that kind of spike. So now let's scale and E and scale. So let's fill it up. F to seal it up. F to seal it up. Now let's say I to insert again. And we can work on this place now. So let's select this edge loop, hold alt and click on it, and let's scale it to have something like this. We can either push this down, then we can add edge loops here, add 2 edge loops here. I think that's okay for now. We can as well come now and let's say let's add some little bit of thickness to this. We're going to say A, tab, A for all selection, and go to phase. Let's go to extrude along normals. Extrude along normals. Now let's extrude it a bit, just very tiny. Okay, I think this is okay. Let me go to, I can push this. Let me see if I can push this down without affecting all these ones. So now what we'll do now, we'll add one more edge loop at the corner here. Let's go to edge selection. This is very thin, so to add, okay, it's correct. To add one more edge loop here, control arrow, yes, one more edge loop around it, and so now let's create the pole, the stand for the shade. So let's go to our front view because we want to create something like this. I want to create something like this and coming down here. So something like this, and so that's what we want to do. And now let's come here to the top here and say bring our cursor there and say Shift A, go to Mesh, and let's bring a cube in there, scale the cube to this point to be a little bit smaller, scale the cube, and now let's go to edit mode, go to face mode, click tab on your keyboard to go to edit mode. Now let's go to face mode, then let's go to our top view, or let's stay in our front view. I think we are facing this angle, so let's say, okay, let's extrude from the top first, E, let's say from the top here, E, let's go to our front view, and add a edge loop, and select that face, go to our front view, stand around and say E for extrusion, and let's bring this downwards, let's rotate it this way and say E again. There are different ways of doing that. You can still push this down to this point and say E. I want it to be very, very uniform, and you can now rotate. You can say, you can now say Control R, and let's bring this edge down here. And see, let's go to our front view again, wireframe, let's rotate it. If it's possible, we can rotate. Now let's say E. If you watch, you have some kind of distortion in here, so we can rotate this to this point. And now we can push this like this, and we can say E, but it's not straight, so let's ensure we keep this straight. Let's use this grid to align it and rotate it very straight. Now we can now extrude E along very, very straight. So can use this. This point is okay. So you can either use a cylinder for this kind of layer. Now let's select this and extrude again downwards. Let's push down Now let's select all these faces around and extrude, and let's say scale. It didn't work. Let's select these faces, come to extrude along normals, and now let's extrude along normals. So you can create a base for, you can scale it more, less, scale more. So you can come here now and add an edge loop down. Let's bring this down. Control arrow to add edge loop. Let's bring this down here. So I'll push this down and go to 3 for face, and come to here. We have our extrude along normals again. We extrude along normals, so we have something like this. So with this, you can create so many things. Now we do Alt H to go back to our Alt H to unhide. So I'll go back to our right view, then I will bring this coverage upwards, and it's looking too very big, very big. So we'll make some adjustments. You don't have to be bigger, taller than the upstairs. It has to be at this window level. So we can scale it. Scale it to this point. And scale it and bring downwards. Now let's see how it looks like. This is what we have. So we can easily scale this also. Let's push this. Let's unhide this exterior. So this is our kind of shade for customers that want to get items. You can also scale it if you feel like, to make it more bigger. Also scale it, move it. But now we have to make adjustments. So we select our pole and come here and see if we can, how we can push this. Alt Z, and we see if we can push this to this point and raise it up. Yeah, that's any distortion here. So we have to move this forward to this point. Okay, so it is that. So we can now duplicate this shade, Shift D, duplicate, Shift D, duplicate, and we can mirror it on the x-axis. So we can mirror it and push backwards. So we can select both of them again and move to this point. So we can do that a couple of times, but we can move them here. So just want them to be not too far from, you can still see them in the scene. So we'll end this tutorial here. We've come to the end of part one, and in part two we will model chairs and so many other assets that we'll be needing in this restaurant. We want it to be very very unique, so we have to model so many things as well. Okay, we can just move this forward since this should be here, so I can just rotate this arrow z-axis 90. Now we can now move this to this point. Now move this. See how I can just beautify the scene. So we've come to the end of today's tutorial for part one. So I hope this helped you so much. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, on Telegram, and on Facebook, and on ArtStation. Share, comment, and like. Thanks for watching.